The sport of basketball can be high intensity, action packed, and can leave fans on the edge of their seats. So many magical moments in NBA history are products of two highly competitive teams wanting nothing more than to win the game. But what if a team is actually trying to lose a game? And this is called tanking, and is all too real thing that has been taking place in the NBA for many years. Tanking is the act of deliberately having your team lose as many games as possible. The NBA gives the team with the worst record at the end of the season the highest chance of getting the number one pick in the lottery draft. So when a head coach or GM knows that their team won't be competitive next season, mainly due to a lack of talent on the roster, they'll purposely lose games so they can receive as high as a spot as possible in the draft. But how often does this actually happen? Is it actually impacting the quality of the game? Certainly, this would be a last resort for a team who just can't seem to get it together, right? But tanking is slowly and surely becoming a huge debate topic in the NBA, with many people, including the NBA, being against it. However, it's ironic that the only major professional sport with the system in place to try and give teams a disincentive to tank is the one that faces the most ridicule for tanking. The NBA lottery draft is literally a lottery where teams are randomly selected for the top 10 picks in the draft. The worst teams have a higher chance of being selected first. In the NFL or MLB, for example, the order of draft selection is determined by the reverse order of the finish in the previous season, giving the last place team the first overall pick. Wouldn't it make more sense to tank in these leagues where finishing last guarantees a first overall pick rather than a better chance? The most famous NBA team to take advantage of this are the modern day 76ers. If you keep up with the sport, you know of their famous or infamous catchphrase, trust the process. The term process alluding to the team's tanking for about 4 seasons. This right here is the prime reason tanking today is such a hot topic. The Sixers have landed a top 3 first round pick in the last 4 seasons, 2 of those being the first pick. They now have a team full of potential superstars, and this year they made the playoffs for the first time since 2012 as a 3 seed. All Philadelphia had to do was trust the process. With the buzzing success of tanking in Philly, it is now becoming apparent that more struggling teams in the league are attempting to tank, bringing more publicity to the topic along with more criticism from basketball fans everywhere. Fans want to see competitive games with athletes actually trying. The brunt of tanking criticism falls on the NBA, I think for no good reason really. Every league has teams that tank in some form or another every season. Star NFL players sit out more often when they see their team falling out of playoff contention. MLBs call up AAA players if their team isn't competing well. But only in the NBA do people say tanking worsens the quality of the sport. However, tanking can actually improve the quality of some games and overall play. While it obviously doesn't do this instantly for the team actually tanking, it can for many surrounding teams in the league. For example, in the 2011-2012 season, the San Antonio Spurs were already a top team in the league. They would get even better with key additions of players Boris Diaw and Steven Jackson, traded to them from the Hornets who were going into tank mode. This trade helped the tanking team tank harder and helped San Antonio reach the finals the next year. While these two players are by no means superstars, they played key roles in the Spurs offense, and the 2012-2013 finals is one of the most historic finals in NBA history. As crazy as it sounds, this all might have never happened had Charlotte not decided to tank and give the Spurs some extra help. Tanking obviously isn't the instant solution for a struggling team. It can take years and a whole lot of patience. Through this patience can come something great though, and that is a greater development of younger players coming into the league, rather than having high potential players be a huge bust. Kwame Brown, who entered the league as a first overall pick in 2001, is arguably the biggest bust ever in NBA history. Being regarded as the best basketball talent seen in years, he was supposed to immediately lead his team to the promised land, but let the pressure get to him. He never averaged more than 10 points a game in a season. Ben Simmons, who was drafted first overall by the 76ers in 2016 due to their tanking, had similar expectations of greatness but was not rushed. The 76ers were tanking and had no rush to push Ben Simmons off the deep end. They sat him for a whole year, put floaties on his arm, and tanked some more. The next season, this current season, the 76ers got another top 3 draft pick, and Ben Simmons would begin to play. Ben Simmons will most likely win Rookie of the Year this season, and the Sixers are in the playoffs for the first time in 6 years. The team continues to get better, and it seems like they are no longer in need of tanking. Kwame Brown, who, unlike Ben Simmons, was pushed off the deep end and expected to perform, could have benefited from being put on a team that was tanking so he could focus on his own development rather than winning, which ironically would have led to more wins for whatever team he played for. Not every single situation in where an NBA team struggling to compete calls for tanking. Some teams just need slight readjustment to get back on track. But with the modern success of the 76ers tanking, I do expect to see a lot more teams begin to attempt it, and in the future, it just might be a good thing. Tanking has its drawbacks, but in the grand scheme of it all, it can actually be argued as a good thing for the NBA. It generates interest in regards to midseason moves, it positively impacts teams' positioning for the postseason, thus increasing revenue for the league, and gives younger players a chance to develop for the future.